Hello, and welcome to another episode of Something Something Chat Show with your host, Tom Jr. Jackson. This is Something Something Chat Show with Tom Jr. Jackson presents after the movie review, uh, spooky October edition, number 11, and it is The Bride of Frankenstein from 1935. But first, have you checked out the Post Geek Singularity YouTube page? Why? How do you find it? Well, first of all, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell that is down in the description box. And you'll also see down in the description box the link for the Post Geek Singularity YouTube channel with such shows as Midnight Metal, Midnight Musings, Let's Get Physical Media, Whining About Movies, Let's Get Physical Media, Observations, and as always, the newest show. Well, first of all, the newest show, Ladies of the PGS, with RM every Monday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. And why not join that? And while you're at it, join the channel for as low as 99 cents, where you can, for as low as 99 cents, join a members only Zoom call with the host of the channel, Robert Meyer Burnett, every other week. And who is Robert Meyer Burnett? Well, he is a director. Directed such films as Free Enterprise with William Shatner. And he's produced some of maybe your favorite special features if you are a physical media fan, such as the special features for the first two Lord of the Rings movies, special features for Superman Returns, special features for the first two X-Men films, and so much more. So check out the Post Geek Singularity YouTube channel, sign up for it, and be part of the community today. And also, while you're checking out channels, speaking of RM, she has her own channel. It's called Positive Fandom on YouTube, and it's here on YouTube as well, where she does unboxings, reviews, such as movie reviews, television show reviews, theatrical thriller reactions and reviews, out of the theater reviews, and every Sunday morning at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 a.m. Pacific, you can catch her live on YouTube or Sunday Brunch Live with her co-host, Russ Whitfield. So check that out and be part of the discussion. And now on with the review. As I said before, this is after the movie review, number 11. It is the spooky October edition, and we're discussing a classic 1935 film, The Bride of Frankenstein. Now, in 1931, James Whale brought Mary Shelley's classic story of Frankenstein to the big screen, and it took about 4 years for Universal to convince James Whale to do a sequel, and he didn't want to do it. He finally broke down and did it. So in 1935, he returned to bring the monster back to the big screen in The Bride of Frankenstein, with a screenplay by William Hurlbut, and I should say it's adapted from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein novel. I do want to say that let's go over the story again. so you know where we're following up. So in this story here, at the beginning of the film, we see Mary Shelley, the author, who is played by Elsa Lanchester, who also is the mummy, not the mummy, excuse me. She is the bride of Frankenstein as well. But the monster's mate is referred to as question mark, question mark. But years later, it was found that it was Elsa Lanchester who plays the bride. So in the film, we see her, and she reveals that the main characters of her novel survive. Dr. Frankenstein is provoked by an evil and by an even madder, crazier scientist to build his monster a mate. So, as you know, uh, Dr. Frankenstein, or I should say Baron Frankenstein, because he's never once referred to as doctor in this film. He never was a doctor. He dropped out of medical school in the first film because they weren't teaching what he wanted. So there's that. So let's go over the cast. Boris Karloff as the monster, Elsa Lanchester as the bride, and as Mary Shelley. Colin Clive is back. Una O'Connor, she's the one who does all those type faces, ooh, she's the little maid or whatever who's overreacts. And Dwight Fry as the assistant to, excuse me, as the assistant to the even mad scientist, even madder. Now, not long before the filming of this movie began, Colin Clive, who played Dr. Frankenstein or Baron Frankenstein, broke his leg in a horse riding accident. So most of his scenes at the beginning were shot with him either sitting down or he's lying in bed. There's a scene in the movie where there's a little girl played by Marilyn Harris. And excuse me, for those of you who don't know who Marilyn Harris is, she was the original little girl who Frankenstein picks up and throws into the water in the first film. And the director wanted her back. And he gave her a one word, thank you. It was a one-word line in the script, which was "look." And by doing that, she'd be paid more than by the studio as an actor with a speaking role rather than as an extra who had no speaking role. So the director, James Whale, took care of his actors, especially this little girl here. So she would work, he always liked to work with her. Makeup expert and makeup man Jack P. Pierce made some modifications to the makeup on the monster that showed the effect that he survived the fire. So there are little differences, like you see little burn marks on him and stuff like that, and the hair is a bit higher, and because that's been singed off and whatnot. Very, very interesting part of the film, but it's a great film. It really is. Elsa Lanchester, who played the bride, was placed. Oh, she was only 5'4", and she was placed on stilts, so she would appear 7 feet tall. And because she was so wrapped up and everything like that, and her hands were wrapped up and her body was wrapped up, she had to be carried around and fed through a straw because even her hands were wrapped and she couldn't eat. Valerie Hobson, who plays Baron Frankenstein or Dr. Frankenstein's fiance slash bride in the film, was only 17 years old when she appeared in the film. Do you know how old Colin Clive was when he was in the film? Anyone? 17 years old. No, no, he wasn't. She was 17, he was 35. Just saying, back then, a bit different back then, I should say. The film shot for 46 days at the cost of approximately $400,000. And according to Elsa Lanchester, the bride makeup took about 3 to 4 hours on her face alone to put that makeup on her face. And for Boris Karloff, it took maybe 5 or 6 hours to do. And that's why you don't see the bride and Frankenstein in the same shot as much, because it took so long to put on all that makeup. The bride is the most obscure of the Universal Studio classic monsters. And when I say she's obscure, I mean on screen, she's on screen for less than 5 minutes. If you really time it to how long she's on there, she's only on there for 5 minutes. And she's the only classic monster to never have killed anyone, although from her rejection of the monster, it could be argued that she drove the monster to suicide. And in this film is the classic scene of the monster visiting the blind man, which 40 years later would be imitated, parodied, I should say, in Young Frankenstein, where the blind man in Young Frankenstein was played by an uncredited Gene Hackman, who wanted to be in that film. There was nothing else for him to play. And he said, well, you could probably find me something. And they gave him the blind man. So good on you, Mr. Hackman. Good on you. This film is about 75 minutes, something like that. It's not that long of a film. I would say that it flows. It literally has a flow that just goes with it. It goes very well with like you watch it and it just takes its time with the film. There's no way that when you watch it, there's no way that you go, oh, this is going to take so long. No, this movie has like no slow moments to it. So the sooner it starts, before you know it, it's ending, and it's very tight. It's cut tight, very tight. I like the cast in this film. I like how it flows. I like the story to it. And you feel bad for the monster because all he wants is a friend, and he's misunderstood. And but then again, he learns how to talk, and he learns what friendship is and what drinking is and all that stuff. And then you have the story of, you know, the one man who's learned to play God, but he's learned you can't be playing with that stuff and playing God until this mad scientist comes in. This even crazier guy says, no, no, no. I know a better way of doing this, and I know how we can do it. We're going to create a mate for the monster. And I think really it is it's not something that should be done. And it's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't, damned if you do, damned if you don't situations where you have this guy who's playing trying to create life, where somehow we all would love to either create life that way or create a way to live longer. And I think in the end we learn who was really in the right, and who was really in the wrong with this film. But it's a great classic film, classic black and white 1935 film. Um, I had the Frankenstein Blu-ray, and it has like 6 or 7 Frankenstein films on it. This is the second Frankenstein film because it's a direct sequel, and I'd say it's one of my favorites. I love this film, but I also like the original Frankenstein. Don't get me wrong, but Frankenstein is an interesting character because it's only in the movies that they refer to the monster as Frankenstein. In the book, they only call him the monster, and that's really what he is a monster. He doesn't have a name, but he's Frankenstein's monster. But he's just a monster. He doesn't have a name. Even Baron Frankenstein doesn't give him a name. In the book, they don't give the monster a name either. Um, I would like to thank you all for watching. And again, as always, please like, comment, subscribe, ring that little bell, and it lets me know that you care when you want to see a new video. And also, it helps us grow on YouTube as well. It gets us seen more as well. So, what I can say to you is this: check out these classic films. Okay, I have been doing some classic films. Check them out. They are worth being checked out. Classic films are a visit to the past. They're a moment in time, but they're important because without these films, you wouldn't have a lot of the films that we have today, especially in horror. So until next time, my friends, please remember, whoever you are, wherever you go, no matter if it's here, there, everywhere, in the 29 known galaxies, that we are all good people. Thank you, and have a pleasant tomorrow. Bye-bye.